At least one reply. Students, you came? Are you there? Yes, sir. Okay. Next, we move on to yeah, IP. First, we'll go for IPv4. Next, we'll go for IPv6. Okay. I think IP. I think already you might have studied more in detail. I think here I have just cut shorted. I think all the tasks with respect to IP. So here IP, that is Internet Protocol. So this has been used in network layer. The size of IPv4 is a 32-bit address. 32-bit address. Okay, IP address or internet address. So here the identifier used in this IP. Okay, it's very thing. So it has been used to for the connection of each and every device to the internet. So what is the size? As I said, it is a 32-bit. It is unique and universal. Basically, you might have known what is unique and what is universal. Okay, so each address defines, okay, and how it has been connected to the internet. And universal, basically you might have known this, okay, how the address system, how it has been connected by each and every host and all those things. Next, here address space. As I said, the size of IPv4 is a 32-bit address. Okay, so it is a total number of address used by the protocol. I think it is a 32-bit address. So 32 means, so what could be its address space? It is 2 to the power 32. So what is 2 to the power 32? See this, okay, it is more than 4 billion. Okay, so what could be its notations? I think you might have studied it. So here we'll be using two common notations. One is dotted decimal. Next one is binary notations. Okay, so here we are just going for three common notations to show IPv4 address. One is a binary notation. It is basis 2. Next one is a dotted decimal notation. It is basis 256. And the next one is it is hexadecimal notation. Basically, hexadecimal means it is base 16. Okay, so initially, if you are just going for a binary notation, the base is 2. Here the address has been displayed as a 32-bit address. Okay, so one or more spaces has to be inserted for each and every octet. Octet means 8 bits. Okay, so this is applicable with respect to binary. So here, as I said, each octet is referred as a byte. Then with respect to dotted decimal, so here the base is 256. Okay, so it has been represented with respect to decimal point, and how it has been separated. Here we are just going for a dotted. Okay, a dot. Okay, next here each number it varies from 0 to 255. Okay, next one is hexadecimal. With respect to hexadecimal, basically we know its base is 16. Okay, so each hexadecimal digit has been equivalent to 4 bits. Okay, so since the address has an 8 hexadecimal digit, this notation has been used in your network programming concept. Okay, that's why I've just used. You might have asked why we, basically you might have studied only these two. Okay, why we prefer this hexadecimal? Okay, fine. I think here I have just given a simple example. Okay, 368. Okay, so this is a common binary notation. Okay, so the size is a 32-bit address. Okay, so and followed by a dotted decimal. Okay, just go for 842 and combination. Okay, 8, 16, 32, 68, and 64, 128. Okay, so 128.11.3.31. This is with respect to dotted decimal. And basically, you know how to convert from decimal to an hexadecimal. Okay, divided by 16. Okay, so this is 80. This is B. This is 03, and this is 1F. Okay, fine. Next one is the hierarchy, and basically we might have known this one. Okay, here we have two different types of hierarchy. Okay, one is net ID and host ID, and we prefer subnetting. For subnetting, instead of going for two hierarchy, we prefer three hierarchies. Okay, that's why we prefer subnetting. Okay, fine. Now initially we just going for an hierarchy. Hierarchy in the sense, here the first part it is said to be called as a prefix, whereas the second part it is said to be called as a suffix. Okay, ma, clear? For basically, we might have known that the size of an IPv4 is a 32-bit address. In this 32-bit address, the address has been divided into two parts. The first part it is said to be called as prefix, and the second part is said to be called as suffix. Basically, what we will do, we have two different types of address. One is a net ID, next one is host ID. What is net ID? Network ID. Host ID means system ID. Okay, so instead of that, I'm just saying that the first part, basically, the first part will be net ID. Second part will be the host ID. Okay, so here the first part will be called as prefix, second part will be called as a suffix. Okay, so just look at the diagram. Here I have a total size as 32-bit address. Among the 32-bit address, here we have the first part as a prefix, the second part as a suffix. Okay, so how we use to calculate the prefix as n bits, suffix as total bits minus n. Okay, ma, clear? So suffix, prefix always defines network. That means net ID. Suffix, as I said, host ID. Okay, that means the system ID. Okay, so this is applicable with respect to IPv4 size. Okay, fine. And even I have highlighted some of the other points. Here the prefix length is n, suffix length is 32 minus n. Already I have illustrated in the diagram. Okay, a prefix can be a fixed length or it may be of a variable length. So that's why we are just going for classful as well as classless addressing. Okay, address depletion problem. I think you have to remember these terms. Okay, address depletion problem. Fine. Anyhow, we'll just see all those things in my next slide. Next one is with respect to classful address. In with respect to classful address, here we have a network identifier, so that has been designated as a fixed length prefix. Whereas with respect to classless, it is a variable length. Okay, fine. Now we focus on classful addressing. So with respect to classful addressing, the whole address space has been divided into 5 different classes. What are they? Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and Class E. So basically, these schemes we are saying as a classful address. That means it has a meaningful address. Say I have cut shorted and I have just highlighted in a single image. Okay, the total size. Okay, so basically, you might have studied it. If the first bit in the first byte, if it is 0, then it is Class A address. If the second bit in the first byte, if it is 0, then it is Class B. Third bit, class C, fourth bit class D. If all are one, then it is class E. Okay, the same thing. Okay, and similarly, the first byte holds net ID for class A, and the remaining 3 bytes represents, host ID for class A. Okay, first byte represents the net ID, whereas the remaining 3 bytes represent the host ID. This is applicable for class A. What about for class B students? The first 2 bytes represent the net ID, whereas the remaining 2 bytes represent the host ID for class B. And what about for class C? First 3 bytes represent net ID, whereas the last byte represents the host ID. This is for class C. Okay, fine. And for class D, it is said to be called as for a multicast, and for class C, it is for reserved for. We are not using class D and class E. Okay, why? Because class D it is for multicast, and class C it is for reserved for the future user. Fine. Apart from that, and this is a total thing, okay, occupied by the different number of classes, class A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, 50% of addresses are held by class A, 25 by class B, again divided by 2 for class C, again for it is D, and again it is for E. We are not using D and E. Okay, that's why we are getting the same. The value. Fine. Next one is, I think you have to remember. I said that for class A, the first byte represents net ID, whereas the remaining 3 bytes it represents the host ID. Fine. So what is this? Total length. So here the network, length is 8 bytes. 8 bits. Sorry, 8 bits. As I said, the first bit represents 0. The first bit in the first byte, if it is 0, automatically it is class A address. Fine. Okay. Since the first bit, if it is 0, it defines class A address. Very simple. So what could be the remaining things? 2 to the power 7. That means it holds how many number of, the values as a net ID? 128. Okay, that means 2 to the power 7 out of 8. Already it has been occupied as, the first bit for 1. Okay, so the remaining is 7. So 2 to the power 7, it is 128. Clear, students? Fine. That's why I have just highlighted here. So we have 2 to the power 7, that is 128 networks. That means 128 bit as a net ID. Okay, for class A. Similarly, for class B, what is the size? First 2 bytes represent net ID. First 2 bytes means 8 plus 8, it is 16. Among the things, first 2 bits we are using, right? So if the second bit in the first byte, if it is 0, then it is class B address. So it is 10. Okay, fine. So the remaining will be 16 minus 2, it is 14. 2 to the power 14. So this much number of bits will be act as a net ID. Clear, ma? Similarly, for class C, first 3 bytes represent net ID. Okay, the third bit, okay, the first byte, if it is 0, among 24, this is 3. 24 minus 3, it is 21. 2 to the power 21. So this much number of values will be for net ID. Clear? That's all. We are not using class D and class E. Okay, ma? Clear? Fine. Next one is this address depletion problem. I think you have to remember this one. Okay, why there is a need for this address depletion problem. Try to remember the value, that term. Okay, I think the exact term you have to reproduce. Address depletion problem with respect to this one. Okay, fine. Next one, we are not comforting with this one. That's why we prefer this address depletion problem. I think I plan to take this subnetting problem, but basically you might have studied the same thing. Okay, so basically we have only two, we have seen only two level of hierarchies. Okay, net ID and host ID. So suppose, so again, so IP address have been designed with respect to two level of hierarchy. One is net ID and host ID, and basically I think all these things already you might have studied. Okay, so why there is a need for subnetting? So dividing a network into a further small networks. Okay, we prefer subnetting. Okay, with this subnetting part, with this subnetting part, just look at this diagram. Okay, so we have an address. Okay, so like 141.14.2.0. Okay, see, for example, a class B address is given. Okay, I used to, I mean, ask you to find out the class, I mean, network address. So you'll be saying as 141.14. So here we have n number of different addresses. Okay, it is not, I mean, subnetted. Suppose in such case, if there is a need, we have to go for a subnetting. Okay, so that's why, as I said, what is the meaning of subnetting? Dividing a network into a further small networks. Here, each subnetwork has its own subnet address. I think here I have just given a simple example. Yeah, just take a simple example. 141.14. Basically, with this, we used to find out the net ID and see about its host address 2.20, 2.21, 2.105, 7.96, 7.95. Okay, see, it is not at all subnetted. So again, if you want to divide it into a further small networks, we are just going for a concept called subnetting. Okay, just see here again here. So instead of two here, we are just having three levels of hierarchy. That means in this 2.0, I think we have all the series with respect to 2. And in this 7, I think we have all the series of 7. That means 141.14 with respect to 7. Okay, I think we have all its series. Again, with respect to 22, we have all its series. Okay, clear, ma? Fine. That's why we prefer the subnetting. Okay, normally we prefer only two level of hierarchy. For the subnetting, we prefer the, I mean, the third level, that is a subnet level. Okay, but how to calculate this? Very simple. So we perform masking. So what is the meaning of masking? Basically, it is a process that can able to extract the address of its, I mean, the physical net from an IP address. Suppose if it is subnetted, or if it is not subnetted, so how to identify it? Very simple. Just look at this one. Here we have an IP address 141.14.2.21. Okay, suppose if it is not subnetwork, very simple, identify its class. Based on its class, we used to say that whether it is subnet or not. Okay, so if you want to identify its class, so what is the class? It is class B address, so 141.14. Okay, suppose if it is not subnetted, automatically we will just write that 0.0. Suppose if you are saying that if it is subnetted, so depends upon the range, I mean, depends upon the mask range, we have to identify its subnet address. Okay, fine. Just see here. Again, we are just going for a term called default mask. Imagine that I have given an IP address, class A or class B or whatever may be. Okay, I'm asking you to just finding out without subnetting. Without subnetting means very simple. Just you will be finding out only its, I mean, net ID. The remaining host ID will be 0. Depends upon the class. Since it is class B address, class B means we know that I mean, the first 2 bytes represent net ID. So it is 141.14, and there is no, I mean, since it is not subnetted, so the host ID will be 00. Clear, students? Suppose if there is a need for going for a subnet masking, okay, so I have given an IP address and I have just given an mask address. So we are asking you to finding out the subnet address. So how to find it? Just perform. Very simple. Just see, just look at the objective. I have given an IP address. So we are asking you to find the subnet address by applying the mask. So default mask means very simple. Depends upon the class we used to identify. Suppose for class A means it is the first byte, it is 255. The remaining will be 0.0.0. For class B means it is 255.255. I mean, whatever may be the address followed by the host ID will be 0. Similarly for class C, okay, whatever maybe, I mean, the first 3 bytes represent net ID, for again followed by the host ID. Suppose if we are asking you to find out the subnet address, okay, just look at this one. Here we are just going for the condition, just like a boundary level and non-boundary level. Okay, for non-boundary levels, very simple. Okay, suppose if the byte in the mask, if it is 255, just copy the address. Whenever if you are finding out a value like 255, just copy the same value. Suppose if you are finding out the mask is 0, just replace by 0. Apart from 0 and 255, if you are finding some other value, just perform bitwise and operation. Clear, ma? So this is going to be called as non-boundary level. Okay, so I'm just repeating this once again. So if the byte in the mask, if it is 255, just copy the byte in the same. Okay, suppose if the byte in the mask, if it is 0, just replace it by 0. Apart from 0 and 255, if you are finding some other value, like from 1 and 254, whatever may be the value, so you have to perform bitwise AND operations. Clear, ma? Fine. Just look at the simple example, student. So I think I have given an IP address 19.30.84.5. Okay, and even I have just given this one, not default mask. Okay, fine. If it is default mask, default some other class, okay, we used to perform it. Okay, fine. Here I have just given the mask address like 255.255.192.0. Very simple, students. So what is our objective? How to calculate the subnet address? As I said, if you are finding out if the byte in the mask is 255, see if the byte in the mask is 255, whatever may be the address, just write it. If the byte in the mask is 255, whatever may be the address, just write it. Clear, man? This is the first point. Second point, so what I said, if the byte in the mask is 0, see if you are finding the value as 0, whatever may be the value of IP address, just replace with 0. This is clear. First point. Second point. The third point is if the byte in the mask is either 0 or I mean 255, just perform bitwise and operations. Apart from 0 and 255, if you are finding some other value, just perform bitwise and operations. It's very simple, students. Just take 842 combinations, just perform bitwise and operation, just replace it, and this will be the submit address. Clear, ma? Any doubts? See, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. That's why I've just taken, this PPT. I think already it has been explained. Okay, so that is a concept for this one. Subnetting, supernetting, basically vice versa. Okay, this is dividing into further small networks, and this is vice versa. Okay, so we can able to combine it. Okay, and I think here I've just gone with a simple problem. Okay, yeah, I think all these things, I think you might have not studied this one. Okay, apart from the subnetting and supernetting. Okay, subnetting, vice versa, supernetting concept. Okay, basically I think we just combine this one. Okay, with respect to classic, classy address. Okay, fine, but we are not taking this much. Okay, I mean more intrinsic. Okay, but anyhow, and I've just listed some of the advantages. Okay, so we can able to easily find the class. Basically it will be classy only. Okay, fine, so we can able to find the prefix length immediately, then no extra information has to be needed. Okay, fine. Next, with respect to classless, I think with respect to this depletion, I think I just want to give some problem with respect to fine. I have the simple notations. Fine. So next thing is you have to focus on the CADR. Okay, classless interdomain routing. So what is this? Okay, so here we are just going for slash notation. I think I'll be focusing on a one simple problem. I think I have the problem. Yes, I think I thought I don't have in this laptop. Fine. I will continue this one. So type of casting, basically this is unicast, multicast, and broadcast, one-to-one, one-to-all, one-to-many. And basically you might have known this one. So what is this casting? So we have to transmit the data over the network. That has been, termed as in casting. So here we have different types of casting, that is unicast, multicast, and broadcast. Basically you might have known this one, one-to-one, one-to-all, and one-to-many. Okay, students, fine. So with respect to addressing, in what way we are just using this one? So unicast, transmitting the data from one source host to another host. So basically we know that. Okay, one to one. Just see an example. So we have an host A and host B. Host A have an IP address like 11.1.2.3. Again, host B have an IP address 20.12.4.2. Very simple. Okay, one to one. Okay, so fine. So this is said to be called as an unicast. Okay, fine. Broadcast, a broadcast, it is one to all. Basically we know this one. And here this broadcast has been classified into two different types, limited and direct. What is limited? Basically I think broadcast you might have studied, and you might have not heard this. The different types of broadcast. We have limited and direct. Limited means transmitting the data from one source host to all other source hosts, which has been residing in the same network. Keep in mind that has to be residing in the same network, then that is said to be called as limited broadcast. Or in simple, if you are finding all the values as one, then that is said to be called as the limited broadcast. Clear, student? Just I think I have just given an example. Okay, so see here. So limited broadcast address for any network, all 32 bits are set to 1. So if you are finding all the values as 1, okay, basically see the notations 842 and combination. Okay, so it is 255.255.255.255. If you have been finding these kind of address, then this kind of address it is said to be called as limited broadcast. Clear, ma? Fine. Here I have a simple example. A host A having an IP address, okay, 11.1.2.3, which has to send its data to all other hosts that has to be reside with the same network. Very simple. So what should be its destination? Automatically it should be 255.255.255.255. Clear? So these kind of address it is said to be called as limited broadcast. Then next one is direct broadcast. Again, you have to remember this one. What do you mean by a term called direct broadcast? Say apart from same, it has to be with respect to other network. If it is with respect to same network, then that is the previous one, limited broadcast. If it is not with respect to the same okay, then that is said to be called as direct broadcast. So what is the definition for a direct broadcast? Transmitting the data from one source to another host residing in other network, then that is said to be called as direct broadcast. Okay, just see here. Here I have just given a simple example, and basically just keep in mind, if all it has been set to 1, okay, then that comes under either limited or direct. Okay, Fine. Here I have a simple example for this direct broadcast. So I have a host A having its IP address as 11.1.2.3, which has to send its data to other host. Keep in mind, not with same ID. Okay, fine. 20 dot 2 dot, I mean 20 dot, sorry, 0.0.0. Very simple. Automatically. So what will happen? What will happen? So this is 11.1.2.3. It is 20 dot. So all the host ID should be set to 1. Automatically, this should be, instead of 0, that should be replaced by 1. If it is 1 means, with respect to decimal, what would be the value? 255.255.255. So the destination, I mean, IP address will be 20 dot. Instead of 0, all the corresponding host ID will be set to 1. So that will be 255.255.255. Clear, ma? That's all. And with respect to multicast, basically you might have known about multicast one to many. Okay, I think you can just see an example for all these things. And this is with respect to casting. Okay, I think these 2 points I just want to highlight it. Okay, so basically you might have known what is unicast, multicast, and broadcast, one to one, one to all, one to many. But with respect to broadcast, we have two things. One is limited, next one is direct. Okay, fine. Next one is, I'm waiting with respect to CIDR problem. Next, yeah, with respect to this classful, I think classful, I think already we have seen this one. Again, let me recall it. See here, we are just going for a classful. Okay, if there is a depletion, then we are just going for a classless. Okay, for classful. So here we have 5 different classes: A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, I think just now only I just recall it. I mean, the total size of IPv4 is a 32-bit address. I think with respect to class A address, the first byte represents net ID, the remaining 3 bytes represent the host ID. So net ID means it. Okay, first 8. Okay, fine. The remaining 3 for host. Total size is 32. Okay, just see the value. Fine. Student, in this, I have just given some of the important points. What could be the total number? See, if this is understood, okay, class A, first byte is net ID, last 3 bytes host ID. If this is clear, then automatically we can able to find out the total number of IP address. What could be the total number of IP address available for class A? Very simple. Since the first bit has been went, so total will be 2 to the power 31. Okay, fine. So see, this 2 to the power 31 will be the total number of IP address. Among this, what would be the total number of networks here? Very simple. 2 to the power 7 minus 2. Okay, so 2 to the power 7 minus 2, that could be 126. Clear, ma? Okay, so just remember this one. I think these things, I think you might have not known. Okay, that's why I've just given like this. After remembering the total number of networks for class A, again, what could be the total number of hosts for class A? Again, see, we know that it requires last 3 bytes. Okay, last 3 bytes means 8, 8, 8, 24. So 2 to the power 24 minus 2. So if you perform this one, so that could be the total number of hosts for class A. Clear, ma? Fine. And in this, you can able to find out the range of its first octet. What could be the range of its first octet? Very simple. Minimum value of the first octet minus the, I mean, maximum value. What could be the minimum value? 0. Maximum value 127. Okay, so with this, we can able to find out the range 0, 127. Clear, ma? Fine. Similarly, for class B, see, try to remember, for class B, first 2 bytes represent net ID and the other 2 bytes represent the host ID. Clear, ma? If this has been known, then easily you can able to calculate. First thing is its total number of IP address. What could be the total number of IP address among 32? The first, I mean, the second bit is 0. Okay, fine, 2 bits. So 32 minus 2, that is 30. So 2 to the power 30. So 2 to the power 30 will be the total number of IP address for class B. Clear? If this is known, then easily you can able to calculate the total number of network, I mean, for class B. We know that it is 16. So first 2 bytes. So second bit is 0. So 16 minus 2, 2 to the power 14. Again, last 2 bytes, 2 to the power 16 minus 2. Simple. That's all. Okay. These things are known. Apart from that, try to remember its range of its octets. Okay. So its range will be, so what could be the minimum value? It is 1. Okay. 1, 0. Clear, students, it is 1, 0, right? That means second bit is 0. Second bit is 0 means, so that is class B address. So what could be its value? Basically, just calculate 842 combination. Its value will be 128. So it is 128. Okay. So this is the minimum value. Similarly, like the maximum value ranges. Instead of putting as all values as 0, just write all values as 1. Okay. Just calculate, I mean, 842 combination. The value will be 191. So what could be its range of the first octet? 128, 191. Clear, ma? Any doubts? Any doubts for class A, for class B? Similarly, you just, I mean, you can go for class C also. Okay, again the same thing. First 3 bytes for class, I mean, first 3 bytes represent net ID. For class C, last byte represents the host ID. With this, we can able to calculate its IP address, total number of networks, total number of hosts. and in this we can able to calculate its range of its first octet. Clear? So I think value will be 192, 223. Basically, you might have studied its value, but I'm just showing how we are just getting all those values. Is it clear? Fine. This is with respect to class D, and this is with respect to class E. Okay, just go through it. Don't mug up those values. So with, I think by this easily you can able to recognize, okay, the addresses with respect to class A, class B, class C, D as well as E. Okay, so let me wind up with respect to class E. I think whether I think we have all possibilities. Okay, we are finding out its IP address, then with respect to its range. Okay, 240, and this will be 255. That's all. Okay, and summarize it. Okay, this is a summary of all its IP classes. For class A, the total number of IP address 2 to the power 31, the first octet of its decimal range. Okay, total number of network available, total number of hosts available. Okay, as well as default mark is very simple. Basically, you might have known. Okay, depends upon net ID. Okay, the remaining things will be 0 for class A. Net ID will be first 2 bytes, the remaining things will be 0 for class B. First 3 bytes will be the net ID for class C, and the remaining things will be 0. Okay, and we are now defining with respect to class D as well as class E. Clear, students? Okay, this is clear. Okay, any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So these are the things with respect to this classful addressing. Next one, the last one with respect to this module is, yeah, I just want to illustrate this CIDR problem. With respect to this CIDR, as I already said, there is a depletion problem here. That's why we prefer this classless. The objective is most of the classes it has been wasted in class A, class B, and class C. Okay, I think you might have studied it. To overcome this, we are just going for this one. Okay, fine. Here with respect to this classless addressing, so this is an improved IP addressing system. So it makes the allocation of an IP address more efficient. So this replaces the older classes based on its classes. I mean, depends upon the classes. So that's why we are naming this as CIDR, classless interdomain routing. Okay, ma, fine. And we are creating more number of blocks also here. Okay, so how to create this one? Okay, CIDR blocks. Okay, I think here I just framed a rule, certain rules here. Only 3 rules are applicable, and with this we'll go for only one simple problem. Okay, fine. So here rule 1 is all its IP address must be contiguous. That means it should be continuous. Okay. Second rule will be the size of one block must be present as a 2 power of 0. Basically, you might have known this one. Okay, that should be in terms of 2 powers. The size of the block is the total number of IP address contained in the block. Keep in mind, size of the block should be the total number of IP address contained in the block. So the size of any CIDR block will be always should be represented in the form of 2 power. Okay, 2 powers. It may be 2 power 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and so on. Okay. Last, keep in mind, first IP address of the block must be divisible by the size of the block. Okay, fine. I think here I have a simple problem. Let me just go with the problem here. Yeah, I think more number of problems. Yeah, let me go with the simple problem. Students, listen, ma. So given the CIDR representation, okay, 20.10.30.35 slash 27 slash 27 means automatically we'll be going for the CIDR representation. Find the range of IP address in this, I mean, CIDR block. Okay, very simple. It is slash 27. What is the size? Total size is 32. 32 minus 27. What could be the remaining size? I mean, remaining bits. So remaining we have only 5 bits. So those 5 bits have been used as an identification in the, I mean, for the host. Clear? Total size is 32. 32 minus this 27. That is 5. Okay. To identify the remaining host for this corresponding IP address, I mean, we are just going for this one. Clear, ma? Fine. So just look at the representation. Okay, it's very simple, like 32 minus 27, we are getting us remaining 5 bits. Okay, with that 5 bits, it has been used for identifying the host. Okay, fine. So how we represent this one? Okay, so here given an this CIDR address. Okay, how to represent this one? Just convert into 8421 combination. Just write it 20.10. I mean 30.35. Okay, fine. The first address. Okay, so what will be the last address, students? Very simple. See, first address should be as I said, at 20.10.30.35. Okay, fine. So we use to represent this 35. Okay, fine. What I think when if you subtract 32 minus 27, so the remaining should be 5. they replace all your 5 bits zeros by 1. Clear? Clear? Fine. So this is the first bit. Okay. And see the last bit is this. You are replacing all the 5 bits by 1. See the ranges. It ranges in the same classes. Okay. That's why we are just going for this CIDR. That's why I have just given a simple, I have just given a simple example. Okay. Um, Even we are saying this as a more efficient. Okay. Problem is clear. Any doubts? I think most of the, I think in uh, some 2 to 3 years before, I think they have asked some two problems in, I think GATE 2017 or 16, I don't know. Okay, so they are given a representation. They are asked to find out the range of an IP address. Clear, ma? Okay, so most probably make sure that it will reside only within the same class. Okay, so what class it is? Class A address. Okay, clear, ma? So we use to represent the first address as well as the last address. Okay. Only thing is just replace this by 0 and this by 1. That's all. Okay. So what could be the first address here? 20.10.30.32. Okay. Fine. And what could be the last address? 20.10.30.63. Just convert into this 842 combination. Okay. That's all. Okay. Similarly, we have more number of problems with respect to this CID representation. Okay. That's all, ma. Okay. And with respect to default mask, I think I have just given a subnetting problem. Ma. Okay, ma. And that's all with respect to these things. Next thing is IPv6. I think basically you might have studied IPv6 representations. Okay, IPv6. Why there is a need for IPv6 when compared to V4? So these are the following advantages. Okay, so what are they? So this consists of larger address space, better header format, and we have more new options. And this act as allows for more number of extensions. This support for resource allocation, and the most important thing is it support for more security. See, in IPv4, we are saying that with respect to network layer, this supports or this act as a more security, but that is wrong. In IPv6, we have more enhanced new security features when compared to IPv4. Okay, fine. Next, if time permits, we'll just go for one guest lecture. Okay, with respect to IPv6 in detail. Fine, and so we'll discuss about these are the things. Okay, IPv6 address, then about its address format, packet format, and the last the comparison between V4 and V6. Fine. Basically, we know that what is IPv6? It's an Internet Protocol version 6. Okay, and we are using this V4 and V6 with respect to network layer. Okay, fine. Address size is 128 bits. Just see the total size and why there is a demand. Okay, why we need this IPv6 addressing. Basic thing is a demand. Okay, demand for IP addresses, and there is a development of large addresses. And IPv6 contains addressing as well as control information to route the packets. See the total size. There we are seeing about the size is about more than a 4 million. Okay, 4 billion. Okay, let's see the size of IPv6. Okay, it is 2 to the power 128. Just see here, we can't able to have a counter. Okay, so this holds this much number of sizes for IPv6. And look at the, address format. Basically, you might have known this one, or you might have seen the format for IPv4. With respect to V6, here I'll just give a simple tip. Okay, so the size is 128 bits. We know that. Here we prefer only a colon. Okay, the preferred IPv6 address is represented like this, where I think this x dot x dot x dot. What is this x? X is a hexadecimal digit. It represents 4 bits. Okay, and what could be its range? Basically, there you might have studied about a binary decimal starting from 0 to 255 or whatever may be. But here, with respect to IPv6, its range is from 0 to FF. Okay, 0.0.0.02 FFFF colon. Okay, see here we represent this with respect to 4 bits. Okay, 4 bits colon 4 bits colon 4 bits. Okay, like that it goes on from the starting address to an ending address. Okay, ma, fine. And notations, I think here it has been rendered by 8 groups of hexadecimal quadrants. Okay, not octets. Okay, it is quadrants. Okay, here I have given a simple example: 2001 colon CDBA colon. See, we have series of zeros. Students, if you are finding a series of zeros, okay, very simple. Any 4-digit group of zeros within an IP address may be reduced to a single zero, or altogether it can be omitted. How in the sense? See here, this 4-digit zero can be omitted. Okay, or altogether if you want to omit the entire zero, you can able to see these four bits can be replaced by a single bit. Even the single bit can be replaced by a semicolon like this. Okay, or scope resolution, what are maybe the symbols, okay, known by you. Clear, ma? Here I have just I mean sorry, it's double colon. Okay, here I have just given again again a detailed explanation. For example, the IPv6 address, here I have just given ff06 colon series of zeros, it will be reduced as like this. Okay, instead of a single colon, sorry, I have just said as I mean semicolon. Okay, instead of a single colon we are just going for a double colon. Okay, so double colons may be used, okay, only once in an IP address. Fine. Just look at the simple example. So expand the address. So okay, to its original position. Okay. After this double colon, you just expand it with respect to its left hand side as well as to its right hand side. That's all. Okay. So with respect to left hand side, what will happen? Again, to with respect to right hand side, what will happen? Okay. With respect to its series of zeros. That's all, students. Okay. Problem is very simple. Okay. Clear. So we first need to align to its left hand side. Okay. Why? Because after seeing a double colon, okay, first shift to its left. Okay, after writing this one, then shift to its right. That's all. And basically we know that, okay, but see, I even highlight, I just want to highlight this one. Okay, basically you know that what are the countries that have been deployed using this IPv6. So US, then followed by Canada. Okay, see their applications. Okay, both civilization as well as defense. Whereas with respect to Canada, even for all its network applications, I think we have been termed a protocol called NTP protocol, network time protocol. Okay, that is very very important. Okay, even they have been using most of their DNS also. Okay, but it's not applicable in India. Okay, fine. In Japan, just look at their applications. They are using this with respect to all its applications, not only in ATM, not only with respect towards all those modes. Okay, I think basically here we have two different types of mode. One is transport mode and tunnel mode. Transport mode, what do you mean by that? I mean the difference between transport mode and tunnel mode. If you're attending your classes in college, then that is the best example for transport mode. If you are attending your class using online, then that is an example for tunnel mode. I think this example may be very clear. Okay, fine. See, most of the applications, okay, like telecom, then about other things, okay, like mobile phones, online gaming, other thing, okay. See, everything they have deployed. Okay, I think the only country they have deployed this one. Fine. Then about the address format, I think this I have to highlight it. Okay. See, when compared to IPv4, you might have studied about the various things with respect to IPv4. Just look at for IPv6. Again, the same thing. We have base header and payload. The only thing is the size may vary. Okay. And here we have other things like versions, priority, flow label, payload length, the next header, hop, source address, destination address, followed by the other things. Okay. Next important thing is we have, I mean, I think all these things you might have studied even for IPv4 itself. Okay. Next, about here we are just going for priority for IPv6. I think with respect to priority, we have two things. One is congestion control, next one is non-congestion control. With respect to congestion control, I think it depends upon the priority. 0 is for no specific task and 7 for a control task. Like that, we have a number of other priorities ranges from 0 to 7. Okay, 0 may be the lowest priority and 7 may be the highest priority. And with respect to other things also, okay, even I mean we are illustrating with respect to more examples. Then about other things like 8, I mean, with data with respect to most redundancy, and 15 data with respect to least redundancy. Even we can able to illustrate with respect to more examples. And header formats. Students, I think these things you might have already studied with respect to IPv4 and v6. Just see here, the highlighted portion is not present with respect to IPv6. Okay, this is with respect to v6. This is v4. Okay, fine. Other things you might have known: versions, priority, payload length, next header, hop, and all those things. Okay, versions basically it is known. Priority, the size is about 4 bits. Payload length 16 bits. Okay, payload length, it defines the length of an IP diagram. Okay, I mean excluding its base header. Again, next header, hop limit, source, basically source address and destination address, that could be 128 bits. Okay, and this is the entire summary. And then with respect to, I think with respect to v4 and v6, okay, these are things are present with respect to IPv6 and not in with respect to IPv4. And this is with respect to an extension header that has been present with respect to v6, not with respect to v4. And we have other things like hop by hop, source routing, fragmentation, authentication. Then ESP is very important topic in network security. ESP. Next one is about the destination option. Okay, and these are the other things with the detailed explanation. Okay, and these things already you might have known why there is a transition from V4 to V6, and it depends upon the three factors: dual stack tunneling as well as the header translation. Okay, I think all these things already you might have known. Depends upon the DNS. Okay, we prefer this dual stack tunneling. I have given a very good example between the transport mode and tunnel mode about the header translation. Okay, fine. See why I'm skipping is already meta study this one. Okay, but this is very important comparison between V4 and V6. Uh, Initially, we will start with the size. V4 is 32 on 128 for V6. It can't able to support auto configuration with respect to V4, whereas it support auto configuration for V6. It can't able to support real-time application for V4, whereas it support real-time application for V6. No security and network layer. Students, I can explain more things. Even I can stay more than half an hour. Why there is no security and network layer? Okay, but keep in mind, okay, there is no security and network layer for maybe V4. Why? Because it's a very vast concept. But please understand, with respect to IPv6, we are providing more security only a network layer. Okay, throughput and delay is more, whereas throughput delay is less in IPv6. Fine. And these are the important things with respect to V6. That's all. And two routing protocols. I think routing protocols already you might have known this one. Okay. Anyhow, again, let me quickly recall the important two routing protocols. One is distance vector routing. Next one is link state routing. Basically, you might have known about what is the meaning of routing. Okay, so routing techniques. So routing, how to route the packets, or how to just take the packets from source to destination. Okay, fine. We just prefer routing, a term called routing. So we are going for a various number of methods. Okay, I think basically we are just preferring some four methods. I think hop. What is the meaning of hop, student? Hop means jump. Keep in mind, in networks we are using a term called hop. We have a number of routing protocols. Okay, but keep in mind the meaning of hop means jump. Okay, so by use of this next hop method, introduce the content of the routing table. Just look at a simple example. We have a host A and host B. Okay, so we have more number of routing informations from host A and host B. Okay, host A that has to reach via through R1, then to R2, then via to host B. After reaching each and every particular routing information, the table has to be updated. See here, initially we are in B, the destination should be B, and what are the routes? R1, R2 and B. Okay, after reaching A, this is be R2 after reaching this one. Okay, fine, clear. So for each and everything, the information has to be updated. This is set to be called as next hop field. Next one is network specific field. You are specifying only the network. Okay, third one is host specific method. So in this case, you are just specifying only the host, and the last one is default route. So here, with respect to default route, either you prefer R1 or R2 in order to reach to the destination. Clear, ma? Fine. And apart from that, you have to remember the difference between static and dynamic routing. So what is the difference between static routing and dynamic routing? Static means information entered manually. Who takes responsibility? The admin takes responsibility. The only drawback is they can't able to update the information automatically if there is a change in internet. What could be its application? It is used only in small internet. With respect to dynamic, it is vice versa. It has been periodically updated and it has been used in one of the here we have a number of other protocols like RIP, OSPF and BGP. RIP means routing information protocol. OSPF, open shortest path first. BGP, border gateway protocol. See, but you have only two important protocols. I don't know why I'm illustrating more number of dynamic protocols. Okay, fine. Then 1 minute, student. What could be the objective? Very simple. Cost should be the low, part should be the best. And two common methods we have been going for. One is a distance vector routing. Next one is the link state routing. I'll be given a clear explanation. Student, you are attending my class. I don't know how many members are there. Let me assume that 12 members are there. After my session, one student 17, 10, 41, 31, something. Okay, he or she will be saying the information saying that Navneetan shouted something from 1:30 till 5 o'clock. Okay, and he or she will be conveyed to his friend. Okay, his friend, what he or she will be doing, again he will be adding some extra new things, saying that he shouted more from 2:45 to 3:45, and he will be adding more number of things. Again, he will be saying, or he or she will be saying to this to another person. Likewise, the information will be conveyed to all my 12 students, and at last it will be reaching to your HOD or something. Okay, see, you are passing the information from one hop to the another hop, and simultaneously you are updating the routing table. So these kind of information, it is said to be called as a distance vector routing. Periodically you are just updating the routing informations. Either a good thing or bad thing, I don't know, but some information has to be, I mean, you are conveying this to your, either to your friends or to your HOD or something. Clear, students? So these kind of thing, that is said to be called as a distance vector routing. Clear? So it depends upon the routing table, we are just performing the action. Okay, so here initially, I think all these things you might have studied. I will just focus only on the important points. So three keys to be understood. So knowledge about the whole network, knowledge only to the neighbor, and information sharing. So for every 30 seconds, the information has to be updated. Okay, just keep in mind. So this is a simple example. In this example, uh, students will go for a break, for some 10 minutes break. I will drink tea and I will come. I will resume at 3:45. Okay, students. Students, fine. Okay, sir. Very nice reply from 17, 10, 41, 31. I think you are the one saying, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.